It means your face has been bashed in. My hair had grown back since they shaved it for my brain surgery. When I was young, I hid behind my bangs out of a shyness that felt paralyzing sometimes. But as an adult with facial injuries, I had a better reason to let my hair fall over my bad eye, the one with the sagging lid they hadn't been able to fix, and the cheek on the same side, the right, which remained slightly uneven, the skin buckled despite reconstruction of the bone. On good days, I could almost forget what I looked like, but every time I went out in public, the stares and whispers reminded me. There was one blessing in it, if you could call it that. For the first time, I understood what Dawn must have felt like as a child, when other kids either leaned in to get a closer look at her lazy eye or turned away because, as Iris would have said back then, it freaked them out. How many times had Dawn come home crying because some classmate had called her a name or, probably not even meaning to be cruel, asked her in frustration, "Are you looking at me or not?" In the garage, I told Thornburg it was fine, this was not a bad time, and asked if he wanted to come in. In fact, I was glad for the company, however brief it would be. All I had to look forward to was another Friday evening ahead of me with no plans, except to eat a microwave dinner in front of the TV, with the dog stretched out beside me on the couch. Besides, I knew from experience how stressful it was to face reporters alone. I gestured at the door with my chin because I was carrying a potted ficus, which somebody at the office had given up on and put out with the trash. When my friend Francine, the receptionist, saw me pick up the plant on my way out to my car and I told her I was going to take it home, she warned me that it was too far gone. But this only made me more determined to nurse it back to life. The detective said no thanks to coming in. It wouldn't take a minute. And then he looked down at his shoes before he continued, covering his mouth with his fist as he cleared his throat, a habit I'd become familiar with during the trial.
"I wanted to make sure you heard," he said. "About the appeal?"
Appeal? My arms went slack, and he stepped forward to take the plant from me.
"You're not going to tell me you didn't know this was up before the court today, are you?"
He pointed his thumb at the news trucks.
"What do you think they're doing here?"
I shrugged, feeling my shoulders shake. I tried not to pay attention. I didn't say that I'd purposely left the radio off in my car on the way home, afraid of what it might tell me, precisely because I did know what was going on. Thornburg said,
"Well, you'd have to find out sooner or later. The court granted Petty's appeal for a new trial."
I had not heard the name Petty spoken aloud in months. The sound of it made a ripple rise up the back of my neck. I put a hand on the car hood to steady myself. Did they grant it based on the dying declaration? It always seemed wrong to me that it could be called that, when I hadn't actually died afterward. But it had been explained to me that this was the law.
Thornburg said, "It was more of the Sixth Amendment thing, the fact that the defense couldn't cross-examine you during the trial because you didn't remember."
I rubbed my forehead as jolts of pain darted behind my eyes. He's not going to get out on bail, is he?
"Oh, no, absolutely not. No way would they give bail for a crime like this."
He squinted in his rush to reassure me, and with a thud of dread in my gut, I could tell what was coming next.
"But Mrs. Shute, Hannah, we want to put him away again as much as you do. Well, I shouldn't say that. Of course you want it more."
He coughed gently. "Who is we?" I said, though I already knew.
"The police and Gail Nazarian. She's worried he might walk this time, unless they can get a direct eyewitness to what happened."
At the prosecutor's name, my temples folded in on themselves in a full-blown throb. This had been happening more and more lately, and I knew I'd have to mention it to my neurologist during my next checkup. Quietly, to subdue the noise in my head, I told Thornburg what I'd told him every other time before. I don't know anything more than what I've said already.